So the thing I'm gonna do tonight is you speak to you guys. Definitely want you guys. Yes, Hot Potato is gonna sing. Definitely want your comments, want the engagement. Let's just have a little bit of fun tonight. But I am going to kind of present this to an audience as if the audience doesn't know what we do, kind of more of like bringing people up to speed who are watching this video on YouTube for the first time. So I'm going to bring a little bit of that in. Give me a little bit of leeway if I talk about some basic things just to bring people up to speed, all that kind of stuff. So that being said, let's get jumping in. All right, you guys should be seeing my screen, right? The Master the Art of Overnight Trading. All right, so here's the thing that I did a little bit differently, and I think it's kind of cool if I can dial it in, but this is the first time I'm really testing it. But I'm using AI to generate some of these pictures that you'll see. Now, you're gonna have to give me some leeway because I'm not gonna. I just like there's no way I'm gonna go in there and turn and fix it. So you can see turn off the lights, turn on the profits. It's supposed to be turn off the lights and turn on the profits. But I'm not going to go in and fix every single thing, and because I'm still learning how to do it. Exactly. So
It's
give me a
turn
little.
off the lip.
Yeah, turn off the lid. So this is the power of AI where we've established. But all in all, I think it looks great. It doesn't know how to spell, but I think it looks great. And for just for the generate that fast, I'm like, yeah, you guys are gonna deal with that because I'm not gonna go in there and tweak that. So I did it a little bit differently tonight, using the power of AI to generate the slides. So and I'm going to say that up front so that people don't give me crap as it goes on. But I did learn that maybe I won't use text in my images anymore. All right, so it's not me, I promise. It's the AI that doesn't know how to spell, and the AI doesn't know how to do math either.
It's like those weird AI YouTube commercials.
I like it. All right. So let me jump into speaker view and let's just jump into it. Let's dive in. And here we go. All right. Like I said before, so let's just jump in. Let's dive in. I'm going to give you really 5 reasons right out of the gate of why overnight setups, right? 5 reasons why you want to try to set up and get your gains. Hey, is that right? No, like the spelling in your sleep, right? Honestly, and they're not in any way, shape, or form of in like basically they're not in going from going from top to bottom or anything like that. These are just my top 5 reasons, right? You can maximize your gains with a minimal effort. But really, I mean, who doesn't love the idea of their account growing while they're sleeping, right? Well, I mean, that's like the idea here is that you want to have your account grow while you're sleeping. And overnight trading is basically the ticket to do that, right? It's making great gains, making your pips, making your profit around the clock. And you just have the potential to just make money in your sleep, right? Now, the question that you should have asking yourself is, what can you guys do with those extra gains that you get in the overnight? Just by optimizing your trading to include overnight setups. Now, if you've listened to me for quite a while, I say that almost every single morning. I check how I did every single night. It's like opening up a Christmas gift every single day. You never know what you're going to get. Am I going to get the new bike or am I going to get coal? Right. But either way, you're going to get something. And so that's kind of the fun thing I do. I love getting into overnight setups every single night. Next step is I really do believe that it reduces your risk while you're sleeping. Right. And it's like, if you ever have that feeling of overnight tradings where you wake up and you're like, oh boy, my trade just tanked, right? It just tanked. I'm like, what's the damage? And you walk up to your screen and you're like, oh man, my trade just, and you start getting stressed about it. Well, if you set it up correctly with an overnight trade, you're going to sleep better, your trades are secured, and you're going to wake up and you're either going to have a little bit of profit or you're going to have a lot of profit, but you're not going to have no profit, right? And so that's one of the biggest things that I talk about is reducing your risk while you're dreaming. And then the last thing is that you can take advantage of the higher market liquidity overnight, right? And so when it moves overnight or just for the longer term moving instead of the short term scalping that we do, or even when the market is just simply crawling, you don't have to deal with that. And so I kind of put this as like, picture this: you're asleep, but halfway across the world, traders are in full swing, right? And by the time it gets into overnight, you can tap into different time zones, different liquidity. It's like kind of like I'm trading in multiple time zones and while you're always trading. Okay. And the fourth reason is that offers you strategic positioning, right? So getting a little bit technical or tactical here, we can set up your trades early and then let you size out the market, kind of like, kind of like when you can pinpoint those KPIs, and we'll talk a little bit about them in a minute. When you can pinpoint the KPIs and you understand where they're at, then and you don't, and you kind of scrape away all the short-term noise and the 1 minute and the everything we do on a daily basis, and you're just simply hunting for those KPIs, it really helps you to get a better strategic positioning in the market for overnight. And then lastly is we have portfolio diversification, right? I honestly believe that if you're trading one way and one way only, then you're risking. And so you should have multiple different techniques, multiple different strategies. You have a long-term, short-term, just like any portfolio that you have, a trading portfolio out there, is that you should combine. You shouldn't just have, all your eggs in one basket type thing. You should definitely combine with scalping. You got to have a diversified portfolio with long-term, medium-term, day trades, all that kind of stuff. And this is just something that I do to kind of help diversify that portfolio, right? Martin asked, should we be taking notes? Yes.
I want the PDF.
Hey, if I spent 45 minutes putting this together.
You used AI. I don't want to hear
it. Stop. Just kidding. Yeah, it's going to cost you 50,000 Dave dollars to get the PDF. All right. So let me ask you guys this question really quick. What other trading strategies do you think would pair with an overnight setup? Or, obviously we have the scalping. What other ones do you think would pair nicely with an overnight setup, a scalping setup? Anybody else have any other strategies that they use on, along with what we do in the morning, right? Anybody do that? Anybody already diversifying their trading, right?
I do some like breakout strategies and long terms, like 2 or 3 days or week long, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you hold.
Yeah, they're all hold strategies.
Do you do anything other than Forex? Just curious, right?
Gold, a little bit of silver when I'm brave enough.
Where's Brandon? it's like Brandon, you go trade it. I'm too scared to trade it. You go trade it.
Silver can get you.
Why is Josh's voice so deep? What are you drinking there, buddy?
Whiskey. Mind your
You
business.
sing some Johnny Cash.
I'm drinking some Johnny Cash. I love it. All right. So basically, these are the top 5 reasons why I think you guys should include overnight setups into your trading repertoire. Just like in the daytime when I talked to you guys about, you need to have a counter trend trading strategy, you need to have a build strategy, you need to have a ride the wave, you need to have a breakout, you need to have all these different types of strategies so that you can utilize them when the market condition presents itself, so that you can put that strategy in, right? All right. So, let's jump. So this is what I want to talk to you guys about. I talked to you guys a little bit about this, is like, how do you make a 1/4% a day and turn that into 5% a week? Anybody have any thoughts to that? How do you take a 1/4% a day, 5 days a week, or 5 days a week and turn that into a 5% gain?
You can catch a ride the wave.
Nope. You're so wrong. Martin had it right.
You secure your
Martin said Dave math. That's right. Exactly. That's perfect. It's Dave math. 1/4% a day equals 5% a week. All right, let me really, how do you make a 1/4% a day and still come out with 5% a week? And that's the kind of the mystery that I want to found to everybody today. With overnight trading, you can. With overnight trading, it absolutely gives you the opportunity to make a 1/4% a day in the trading sessions, and turning that into a 1/4% a day when we're daily live trading. Every single morning that we come together for 2 hours, we make a 1/4% or more, but generally we make about a 1/4% a day in our live trading sessions, right? When you're scalping, you're king in and out. Of course, we're timesing that by 4, or 4xing our 4x. And then you combine that with the power of overnight setups. The power of overnight setups is how you're going to accomplish a 1/4% a day and making 5% a week, right? And that's where you combine the two. You really do. You put those two together, and then you're going to find your sweet spot right there. All right.
Do you
So
trade them in different accounts, Dave? Or am I jumping ahead of your presentation?
do I trade them in different accounts?
Yeah, like you would have your daily, like the daytime trading in one account and then the overnight in a different account.
Nope. So I think hold on 1 second. How do I do my presentation? I trade the same account. So I trade. So I'll show you.
Did I jump ahead?
When I get there.
I did,
Yeah,
sorry.
but I also
No, that's
lost
a
my
great question though,
presentation.
because Josh has mentioned before that he has one specific account that he does one strategy with and doesn't mix strategies.
Mhm.
But it sounds like you are mixing strategies, so to speak. Which
No,
isn't a
not-
good or a bad thing. That's just that was like the crux of Hilarian's question, right, Hilarian?
Exactly.
Okay.
No.
Dave is trading 25 accounts every day.
So
Well, and Dave is a lot better than I am. I'm trying to troubleshoot my stuff.
Okay, so
You're
Okay,
gonna
here we
edit
go.
all that, right? Sorry, I derailed us.
No, you're fine. I lost my presentation, so we're good. So basically, I'm going to show you guys here really quick how you can go from making making a 1/4% a day to 5% a week, right? And if you do have multiple accounts, I'm going to show that to you guys too on how to do that, right? So the first thing you got to do is you got to attack those juicy pips, right? You got to take those juicy pips, and this is totally AI generated. I didn't do this. So, and you gotta turn them into overnight trades, right? And the power of overnight.
Can't see your screen.
Oh, good, because that wasn't a very good picture. But I'm gonna show it to you anyways. We gotta turn those into juicy pips. So there we go. Can you see it now? Some nice juicy pips.
With
Some
popsicles.
pipsicles. Some pipsicles.
When pips.
So in overnight trading, we got to turn them into nice juicy pips overnight, right? And the best way that I know how to do that is to secure your trades before you go to sleep, right? And once you and for those of you guys who don't know what secured is that once you're up in profit, you set your stop loss to where if it comes back and hits your stop loss, you'll get taken out at profit. And so what I personally have done, since I knew I was going to be presenting this week, is I went and I tracked what I did and took some screenshots for you guys what I did the last couple days, right? And so I'm going to show that to you really quick. Okay, now this is the reasons for overnight trading. 1, right there. That's it. That's all you need. Reasons for overnight trading. All you need is one reason, and the reason is right here because you get that, right? And so you start a new FTMO challenge and you go from 0 to passing overnight. And that's it. That's all you do. One night. That's the only reason why you need it in overnight trading. It does happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen every single night, but this is the number one reason why you're going to overnight trade is because you're going to get into different challenges and you're going to pass it overnight, right? So the last couple days, I went ahead and kind of tracked and did what and showed you guys a little bit of what I did the last couple days. And last week was by far and away better for overnight trading than this week because it's kind of meandering and not really moving a whole lot this week overnight. But last Thursday night, I had a pretty good week where I resulted in over a 5% return. Challenge passed, easily made over 5% that week, right? This week so far, in just the 2 days that I've done it, I made 1.13 on Monday. And then just last night, I made 0.34. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys about why it was only 0.34, why not more, or how to get there, right? And these are just your overnight setups. And I'm not making I'm not hitting these 5%, 10%, 8% every single day. I'm not hitting that, right? My goal is to hit a 0.25%. My goal is to hit a 0.25% at night and then a 0.25% in the daytime, right? And that's one of the ways on how you can start, just thicken this up just a little bit, and how you can start turning a 0.25 into 5% a week. Because you don't just stop at a 0.25%. You secure your trades at a 0.25%. So the worst case scenario is that you make a 0.25%. The best case scenario is you wake up and you're over 5%, right? So that is basically in a nutshell, the principle of an overnight setup. Now we're going to get into the techniques and how to set it up, the strategies, all that kind of stuff. But the crux of an overnight setup is to make sure that you have it secured. And guess what? If you have it secured and you walk away by only making 0.34, you only make 0.34, you only make 2.25, you're secured, right? You don't set a stop loss if price is here or your order is here, you don't set a stop loss down here and a take profit here and wake up and say, did I hit my stop loss or did I hit my take profit? You wait for price to get up here, pull back, run again. Here's goal. You secure your trade. It comes back and knocks you out. Well, guess what? You just made a 0.25%. You make a 0.25% at night. You make a 0.25% in the trade room with us in the morning or more. And now that's how you start hitting that 5%. Is because you're not going to hit a 0.25% every single week or every single night. You're going to make more than a 0.25%. You're going to make 0.34. You're going to make 1%. You're going to make 5.5% if you catch a runner. That's how you turn a 0.25% a day into 5% a week, right? And the best part is that if you secure it for a 0.25%, well, you can't screw it up by adding more trades because you're sleeping. That's the best part.
Mind your business.
All right. Because James said that, we're going to end our presentation here. And we're not going to.
Wow. Sensitive much?
Uh-huh. When you start throwing out stuff like that, I don't share my stuff. That's the number one reason why I don't share my stats. And I'm not even joking, but I know you are, so I don't take it serious. But,
yeah, I'm totally joking.
I know you're totally joking, but I want to make sure that's why I don't share my stats is because people people do say that and they claim that and they sue you. So I'm not about trying to get sued either. So that being said, I rarely, if ever, show my stats like this, but like I am tonight, but I'm trying to do it for a point, right? Trying to make the point that if you do this correctly, you can be successful, right? At overnight trade setup. I know a few of you guys, sorry, you don't get Martin, you don't get, you don't get swaps for overnights. Because what I'm talking about overnight, I'm talking about, going from in still the same 24-hour period. I'm talking about when I go to sleep, right? That, so I'm not dealing with swaps.
Yeah,
Right.
you're already past the end of day,
Exactly.
beginning of day. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's a good clarifying point. So I don't take them to the next trading day. I'm still within the same trading day. I'm just sleeping. Right. And so, like I said before, the best part about the overnight trading strategy is that you don't screw them up by adding more trades on, and, or getting greedy or anything like that. Right. So I start trading, after the trading day flips. Yep. And we'll get to that in a second, right? All right. All right. Okay. So these are the reasons why you want to include overnight trading into your trading. Just simple. One, because it works and it's awesome. And you'll either wake up with a quarter percent or you'll wake up with more. And then you get to sing the song. What's the song, guys? Come on, you can sing it.
can only sing it if we actually do it.
That's right.
Well, let's get a good
That's
setup.
good
See if
one.
we can sing it in the
Hey,
morning.
I got some pips in my cup, so
Well,
that's the best part.
we'll do a chorus tomorrow morning. The best part of waking up, right? It's the best part. It honestly is the best part of waking up is to see how much pips that you have or is pips in your cup, right? So, Brandon, I'm not going to dignify that comment. So it's not going to, we're not, I'm just kidding. It's coffee in your cup. If you don't have pips, that's the second best part of waking up is the caffeine rush that it gives you. All right. So this is kind of, I'm showing, I just was tracking this, kind of did a little bit of screenshots. I think I showed you guys actually live in a live session last couple weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a session on there where I went over, and I kind of showcased you guys exactly what I did, walked through it the night before. I think I made over like 8% that day or that night. Woke up and I showed you guys if you guys are not overnight trading, let me show you the setup that I took last night. And we walked through that. I was going to pull that up and kind of play that, but I think if you go back and watch that, it's a really good one. It's the last one that I traded with William. And I can tell you what day that was. And I did it right at the very beginning, kind of walk through the setup, the whole thing. And we'll do a little bit of that, but that's going to really show you guys like a live scenario. So the last time we traded with William was 10-4. So 10-4, good buddy. Just think of that one. 10-4. Go watch that recording. And it's going to show you a little bit about that, right?
Let me make a correction. The last time we trade was 2 days ago.
No, the last time. Come on. Got to read my mind. The last time was the last time, not the last time, but the last time.
The last time that I lose, that last time.
Did you take
That's
a
the
loss?
last time.
No. You started with a loss, and we made back some of your money during that session. So, but yes, it was that session right at the very beginning. I said, "Okay, we'll
before the last.
showed you guys my setup." What's that?
At the time before the last.
Yes, the 10-4, right? I don't think you're at a disadvantage with this strategy, and I'm going to show you why. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to show you why I think that everybody should be doing this if you're not, right? You thought this was going to be a serious presentation. When have I ever been serious about meat and potatoes? All right, let's just jump into the set. I know I did not put, it wanted to. I had to redo this image like 5 times. That's what took me forever because it kept wanting to give me the wrong kind of potatoes.
That's a good AI.
That's like
All
a
right.
bite-sized steak. That's like a nugget.
So this is the meat and potatoes basically of the setup and the structure for overnight trading, right? It truly is kind of what we're going to dive into right now is how to set up an overnight trade setup. And I think the next slide is basically what you need to do is start early. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter to what time zone you're in. You got to start early in the GMT time frame. I usually start hunting right around the 6, 7 into the 8 o'clock hour, mountain time. And that's usually when I start hunting for my setups, right? And you can start earlier than that if you want to, because I'm going to talk to you about, it's not about what you don't, everything we talk about for our scalping strategy, you just throw that out the window. All we're doing is looking for KPIs, and PTP doesn't matter because you're not looking to get out quick. You're looking to start small and you're just looking for those KPIs. Right. And so a lot of times I'll be like, hey, in the next 10 hours, where's this market going to go? In the next 5 hours, where's this market going to go? And as long as I can see those KPIs, then you just play that direction and you play it light. And we'll talk about that here, probably the next slide. But hey, this is one of my favorite AI generated, right? The early bird gets the worm, right? So you got to start early in the evening, right? All right. So here's the setup that I took last night. And I didn't, it was kind of getting late, so I wasn't able to secure my trades when I took the screenshot. So I'm like, I'm just going to take it. But I ended up securing the trades once it crossed here. Once it crossed here, I knew that was goal at 0.25. So once it crossed there, I was able to set my trades up and for a secured. And then it came up to this spot last night, ran up to that spot, and I didn't have I was using like a trailing stop, so it came back down and hit right there and got me out, right? But this is the setup that you're hunting for. This is the setup that you're doing every single night. Is that if you get in, regardless of where you get in, and I got in right here, obviously you can see that, but even if you got in here or here or here, you're waiting for this move to happen. Right. And there's a couple different things that you can do. You can use technology as your friend, meaning that if you know, and this is something that because I've done it so much, if I have 5 trades on in my account, I need it to move 10 pips. I need it to move 10 pips in my favor in order to hit my goal. Right. And if it moves 10 pips or right around 10 pips in my favor, I can set an alert that will notify me to my phone that I got 10 pips, that I hit goal. And then I can just simply check it. So if I'm like doing dinner, I'm out and about, I can check it. I hit goal, but is it time to secure? Right. And I would say that even if goal was here, you probably would not want to secure until it crossed this. You could secure here under goal if you were like, hey, it's late, I'm going to bed, good night. I'm going to secure here and I'm going to wake up and I know I'm not going to lose, but this is the best place to secure. Now, for you guys out there, why is this the best place to secure versus this? This is the interactive portion of my class. Go ahead.
Because the market has broken above the KPI.
Because the market has broken above the KPI. Exactly. Right. And so again, I don't care how long it took it to get here. I don't really care. I just care that it does. Right. As soon as it breaks above that KPI, so you could do the other thing where you can alert you if the market comes to this price right here, you could set an alert to alert your phone that the market has hit that price you need to secure, right? You need
So
to
how
secure
do
your
you
trades.
how do you set the alert
I
so
knew
that they,
somebody was going to ask me that.
yes,
I'll show you in a second.
thank you.
But it does require a little bit more technical, and I don't think I'm going to run it into that. So there's plenty of YouTube videos there. If you get stuck, there's plenty of stuff and tutorials out there how to set alerts to your email, to your phone, all that kind of stuff. But I'll show you really quick when we jump into live charts. All right. So and this was just that setup last night where I just took it, crossed it, I secured it there, came up, hit it down and hit my secured break. However, I do have some good, man, actually I'll hold that off because that's part of my slide. All right, any questions about this? This is my setup from last night. I'm like, oh, I'm going to take a screenshot of this because this is it showcases the really good setup, right? So I got into this trade early, about 4:30 on that trade, right? Or a little bit more, about 4 o'clock on that trade, because I didn't really care. I didn't really care because it was more about structure. It came down here. This is a good bounce point. It should come up to here, up to this point, right? It should overnight in the next 10 hours. That's what we're talking about. In the next 10 hours, where's the market going to go? And then you play that, but you play it with light. And then once you get to secure point, you secure those trades. So this is a really, 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 it's like smoking a steak, right? You're not going to be able to eat it in 15 minutes. It's going to take hours. And that's why it's difficult to really show you in a live setting, because it takes hours for the setup to marinate, right? So, Ed asks, is there an order type such as that we can stop before? I think you're asking am I setting a stop loss?
Like,
And I'm
is there
not.
an order type such as an OCR or something where we can set the stop and let the order just keep going, but the stop isn't triggered obviously when the price action or trade passes it, but it's there, so it's already preset.
So I don't really worry about my stops. As you know, like your stop losses, they're like,
I'm not
80
necessarily referring to this
pips.
stuff. I'm referring to the break even line,
yeah, where
you
the
can hit break even would be.
Right. So, and I'll show you guys that more in a live chart, because I think we might be in a situation like that. I don't know. I haven't looked at the live chart, but I am into that marinating section where I'm just letting the trades ride right now in some live overnight setups. But if for whatever reason, and this happens occasionally, but not very often, where I'm in early and the market doesn't move, where it just kind of all night long, I probably won't risk it. If I'm going to bed, I will tighten. If I'm going to bed and I do not have an overnight setup, I'm not going to risk waking up to a 50 to 80 pip loss. So, but while I'm in the marinating process, I don't care about my stops, because I could come back and I only have 5 trades on. I could come back, and if the market flip-flopped and the market was down here, I'd be like, okay, it's probably coming to here. I can put some more trades on, bring my break even down to here, and then get out and set a take profit right there and be like, well, that didn't work. But I can easily fix it if it doesn't work, if it goes the other direction. So the key here is learning how to look for those KPIs so that your whole 2 to 4 hours of marinating that steak is not in vain. Because if you read these KPIs correctly, 80% of the time, or 100% of the time, 80% of the time, it works out, whatever that quote is. Because if you can read the KPIs correctly, you're giving yourself the opportunity to be in the right direction, right? For at least a 10 pip run. And that's all we're really hunting for is a 10 pip run to hit goal, secure at goal, and then say, all right, I mean, not secure at goal, but secure at the KPI once it broke the KPI and say, have fun. See it, go off to college, trades, little trades, come back and go to the NBA and buy mama a house, right? That's what we're asking them to do. 60% of the time works every time, right? Yeah, I just used the 80% reference. 100% of the time works 80% of the time. But that is really, it comes down to learning learning how to read the KPIs, right? And for those of you guys who don't know what KPI is, it stands for key price indicator, right? Where on the market is, if it crosses, is it most likely to continue in that direction? Or if it fails to cross, is it most likely to continue in the other direction? That's simply put is what a KPI is, right? We're going to get to that. Okay. All right. Fast forward to the next slide. All right. Locating KPIs. This is the bread and butter. This is the number one thing that you have to drill down, is locating your KPIs for this strategy to work. Fortunately, it's the only thing that really matters. You don't need anything else. You don't need any fancy indicator. You don't need alligator clips. You don't need stochastic. You don't need anything else other than being able to read the KPIs. And that's it. That's all you need for this strategy to be able to work. And then the next thing you need is just a little bit of patience. Those two things, you're going to be successful more than times than you're not, right? And yeah, see, I started learning. I'm not going to add text to these images anymore. But it does a pretty good job. I don't think I could have done that in 5 minutes. All right, so this is the bread and butter. You guys seeing the theme here? The theme. You got you steak, the meat and potatoes. The early bird gets the worm. The bread and butter. We're starting to see a theme here. Hopefully, you guys are getting fed just as much as I enjoy feeding you guys this knowledge. All right, Martin, I'll stop after I drink. All right. So the next thing I said is just locating your KPIs. Okay. You gotta, and once you can find your KPIs, the next thing you do is you set your orders, your stop losses once it gets into profit. That is the next phase of this setup. So the first phase, locate your KPIs. The second phase is you got to set your orders, your stop losses, and then the third phase is once they become in profit or hit goal, then you secure them with stop losses. And that's the next phase of the trade setup. Okay. Then once you're done, you got to know when to book those gains and just sit back and chill. So there's three different ways that we exit. And there's 3 different types of exits. One is we can use Anubis to help us on our exits. Number 2 is we can just use the take profit strategy. Or number 3, we can just leave it up to the secured trade, right? So first phase, just doing a quick recap. First phase, know where your KPIs are. Second phase, set your orders. Third phase, wait for that price to pass that KPI, set your secured trade. And now we're looking at exits. Now your exits are a little bit tricky because it can change from day to day or night to night, right? It can change overnight because there's a couple key things that you need to look for, right? Number 1, you have to look for what you have news coming in. Is news going to happen in the pair that you're in while you're sleeping? If it is, you probably want to maybe just have a take profit before and not very far, so you don't have to play the news. But if you're secured or you can run Anubis, and we'll show that in a second how that works. Anubis is going to help you to maximize your profit unless your KPI is only about 10 to 20 pips in your favor. And you're like, okay, if it hits this point, and it's going to be, I'll show it on the live chart. If it hits this point, I don't know, it's like 50-50 area. Then we're going to set a take profit. But if you can see it running and into a major outside range and you can see it hitting that, then you're going to want to play Anubis, right? Or you're going to be like, well, I'm just going to set a trailing stop and I'm going to let it hit my secured trade and play the trailing stop of 5 pips. And that's another of that 5 pips or 10 pips. And that's another one that you can play as well. So these are your 3 different exit strategies. You set your take profit to where you want it to go. You let Anubis or you let Anubis control where you're going to get out, or you do a trailing stop and you let that happen, right? So those are your 3 different types of exit strategies. Hey, they're falling. These coins are falling because you didn't pick them up. All right. Anybody have any questions on that before we jump over to the live charts and I kind of show that? Anybody have any questions? Not sure what that means, Robin.
Hey, Dave. The graphics are kind of cool. I do like that, especially since they're AI.
Ferris Bueller.
No, they're not. I spent so much time creating those for you guys. What in the heck is a weophobe?
You don't want to know.
Okay, good. I'm not going to Urban Dictionary that either.
That's good. don't ask AI.
I'm like, I don't get that reference. But do we have any questions before we jump over to live charts?
Hey, Dave, I had a quick question.
Oh,
sure.
So, how would you handle your stop losses for those? Because when we're doing the wobble and some of the other techniques, we're setting, a really long 30 pip, 35 pip stop loss. But would you do that? And because if it comes against you, it's gonna, go ahead and hit it at some point. If you're sleeping, you won't be able to stop it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I talked about that a little bit, but I think I'll show that on the live charts. But
okay.
I don't set my stops. I just don't. I have them on there, but they're like 80 pips away, right? I have them on there because every time you put a trade on, you're required to have a stop loss. So I don't, when I get into these type of trades, I just have them so far away that they're inconsequential to my setup. So I'm waiting for the market to move in my favor, right? If I'm going to bed, then I'll manually adjust those stops and put them right into places where I'm like, well, if I'm going to take a loss, then I start thinking about taking a loss. But if I start early enough, that usually doesn't come into play because you can usually get the direction that you need, right?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So, what about the time frame? Do you just stick with the 1 minute, or do you use something like a higher time frame, like 5 minutes or 15, or since it's technically you're going to trade it over a few hours, right?
So I'm kind of in here. I'll show you guys really quick. I think if questions are going to be more focused on the live chart, then we'll jump over there and I'll probably showcase that a little bit better. All right. So because I'm in kind of like that marination process and the market really hasn't moved anywhere, right? So let me kind of show you this. Pull this over, stop sharing this. All right. So hopefully you guys should be able to see my screen right now, right? So
Yeah.
currently I have 9 trades on right here. Right. So I have 9 trades on coming down. And if it comes up, and it's got to come up to here, and I'm going to hit goal. Because remember, I said earlier that here's my annotations. And this is something that I do too. Earlier, I said that I know that I need to take 5 trades to 10 or 10 trades to 5. Right? So if I'm comfortable with trading 5 and 10, again, this is up to you. If you're comfortable with just having this amount of trades on and taking it to this point, well, that's goal. But honestly, this is for this session right here. I'm hoping for it to cross that, and that's KPI. So this is goal. Maybe this is goal. I'm going to just measure that real quick. So 5 pips away from really my break even right here, puts it right there. So this is goal. 5, 6 pips because I'm in end trades. But anyways, crossing here is goal, and it's also the KPI. So if it crosses this tonight at any time before I go to bed, then I put my stop loss right here, and then I just say, okay, either I'm going to bed and I'm waking up at 0.25, or I'm gonna wake up and it's gonna be up here, up here, up here. That's one way to play. That's an exit strategy. One way to play is an exit strategy of saying, well, either I'm going to hit 2.5 or I'm going to wake up and we'll see where it's at. Nothing wrong with that because you've secured your trade, right? That is still an exit strategy where you're like, well, I'm just going to wake up and see where it's at, right? And I'll do that sometimes. And sometimes you can hit it big because you may not, you just like, there's a really good chance that it could break this KPI. And if it does, it could run. So I'm going to run the risk of just, making 0.25%. And it's still not a risk because this is money, it's profit, right? I'm going to open up my chat here really quick. Okay. So, so that's one exit strategy. Is we're going to wait for it to cross here. This is the KPI. Now, somebody did ask, do I use the 1 or the 5 or the 1? I use the 1 hour. So if I'm hunting and I'm marinating, you can kind of see that I got into these trades pretty early, right? And it just kind of just did this, right? Let me put my trade history on here. So I got into these trades right here, and it just did this. It's all day, right? All night.
So that's a 1 hour chart?
That's a 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
So I got into those trades about an hour, almost an hour and a half ago, right? Which is about this is about the time I start hunting, right? It's about 2, somewhere 6, 7 o'clock at night. I start hunting for mountain time, right? So 7 to 9 o'clock Eastern time, really, right? Somewhere in there, or 8 to 10. So that's going to about the time of day I'm hunting, but you can see that the market really isn't doing anything, just meandering, just going la-di-da-di-da, da-da-da-da-da, right? What I don't want it to do is I don't want it to break lower, right? But if it does, then I just put more trades on and bring my break even lower, and then I trade out of that, and I just get out at break even and say, well, that didn't work out in my favor. Okay. No, Megan, don't do that. Don't move to Pacific time. I'm looking to move to Eastern so that I don't have to wake up early to start my trading. So you have it better. You don't have to wake up to start trading. All right. But this is, and let's just take you through the setup here really quick. So the setup that we'll be looking at is on the 1 hour chart, and we look for these KPIs, and I widen this out a ton. right? So I widen out a ton and I look, okay, if our KPI, if I go as wide as I can on the 1 hour, and I'm just gonna use a different tool here. And I'm looking, okay, if it's going to hold the integrity of this channel right here, it will probably, and I'm in buys right now, the maximum amount of space that it's going to run is probably up to here. Let me change this real quick because I'm looking at my KPIs. So it's probably going to run into this area before it bounces. And so I zoom in. So now that I have that kind of identified, I'm going to zoom in and be like, okay, this is where it was. If it runs up to there, well, guess what? That's 28 pips. If it blows past it, it could run more, but it could easy. And again, we're just asking what the market could do, right? So you could see a couple things. We're at the 50 that we talk about a lot from this point to that point. We're kind of right at the 50. So you could say, you know what? It could go down and come down to here, or it could come up, but I don't think it's going to cross here. And I don't think it's going to really cross here overnight. Right. So I would probably be looking to secure my trades pretty quickly and on the buy side. And if I wanted to get out, I would look for this KPI of maybe right below that. Right? Because that is a bounce point. That's 11 pips away and be like, okay, I could put a take profit there. Could. And then my gamble would be, my risk reward would be, well, do I think it's going to come up to here and kind of that 50% of that move right here? And if it's going to, so here's the thing. If you think it's going to come up to 50% of this move, then you need to set your take profit here. Why? Why do you set your take up profit before it hits that move?
Because it'll get there. It has a better chance of getting there.
Because you're sleeping.
Reaction point.
Because you're sleeping and you want to ensure that it takes it. Right? You don't want
spread and stuff.
Yep. You don't want it to just come up here and say, hello, goodbye. And this is your take profit.
Do you expect the market to reverse the trend of the day at night, or do you expect a continuation of the trend?
I expect a continuation of the trend. Right? So my big win this month so far, and I'll show you guys that really quick, was right here. When the market came down, you had this trend, you had a downtrend. The market came down right here. It came down. I knew that based upon the channel, this is something that I look for. Based upon this channel, and it broke out, it was in an outside range from this channel. And I knew that it would probably try to make its way back to that. And so I jumped in with a ton. I got in probably more. I got in heavier than I probably should have for an overnight setup, but I was fairly confident that it was going to try and get back into that trend. And it did. And I did what I did. I did the exit strategy of securing my trades and then waking up and seeing where it's going to go the next day. And I woke up and I was able to exit somewhere up here, and I exited, and then it ran up to here, and I'm like, oh, well, I shouldn't have exited, you know, that whole thing. But it was definitely a double-digit return for me on this setup. And that's something that I look for a lot. This is like the best setup. And the same thing on the top side, I was able to capitalize on that, right? A few days ago, where it comes up, it's an outside range, probably going to come back down. This one's the most difficult one. These are the most difficult ones right here, where you're kind of 50-50. right? You're kind of 50-50, but you can also see if you widen out, if we widen this out, wrong way, that we can kind of see that we've been in this pattern for a while, but we're also kind of maybe getting a little consolidation for a possible rounding, but we're not there yet. But you can kind of see that happening to where it's still 50-50. And so I'm not getting aggressive with my overnight setups right now, nor am I looking for big runs like I did over here and over here, right? The best setups, honestly, is when it's in an outside range and you know it's going to come back. Because let's take a look at that from a back testing type scenario. If this is, go ahead.
I'm sorry, because usually my experience with outside ranges hasn't been as friendly. What are some indicators that it's going to be, that it will come back around?
Well, that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm answering the question before you asked it.
You're reading my mail. Thanks.
So let's look at this for a second. If this is your range, if this is the or the trend that it's been doing, right? Then it is. So that trend it's been doing. We're going to exclude this data right here because I think it's starting something completely new. But on the journey down here, I was playing overnight setups the whole way down, right? And I would be selling at the top of this, buying at the bottom of this in the overnight. Anytime it popped up above this line, like right into here, I would trigger into a sell because I felt like it was coming back into this. And anytime it dropped below this line, didn't do it very often, but it did, I would trigger into a buy and it would come back. I mean, literally come back within hours. And let's go ahead and measure that really quick. So if we come back and measure that, oops, I don't want to do that. I just want to erase this stuff right here. So let's measure this. If you get into a buy here and here, and I'm not saying this is an overnight setup, but that is 14 hours, right? If you're in a sell right here, or even right here, or even right here in an overnight setup, and you think it's coming back down to this point, well, that's overnight because I start at like 7 o'clock and I go till 7 o'clock. So it's 12 hours that I'm letting the market run. Right. And so there's enough room in there to get in at some point to get into that move. This move right here, it popped down. It made it just clean this up really quick. Right here. It popped down, it took, and then once it kind of rounded, I saw that move right there, and it popped up in 8 hours, right? Came up here in like 6 hours, overnight trade setup, right? So that's what I look for is these little tiny outside range pops, anytime. And I'm not telling you that this is like overnight setups. Generally this is, and in this account right here is overnight setups where it pops down, pops down, pops up, all that kind of stuff, right? So that's kind of, and now that we're kind of out, I don't know, but I'm getting we're getting the signal. It's not confirmed yet that we've come to the end of this trend right here, and it's starting to go sideways. So sideways moves, then you have to look at if we're going to get into a box here, if we're going to stay here for a while, if it pops down, you should, outside range, pops up, outside range, right? And those are the plays that I like the most when you're dealing with, getting bigger wins, all that kind of stuff. But we don't have to focus on that because all we're doing is going for 0.25%. We're securing that and we're seeing if we can get more. And you're not going to get that every single day. You're not going to get a big winner every single day. And you're usually going to hit 2 to 3 times a month. where you're going to get 3 to 5% because you're going to catch that big run, but it's worth it. It's worth getting in and setting up and going to bed and knowing that you have a secured trade and waking up and saying, how did I do? Right? It's worth it. Might as well get that 0.25% if that's all you're going to get. So the other thing that's happening, if it just meanders here, whatever, and doesn't give me what I want, or doesn't get me into a setup, an overnight setup, again, I may just play, well, drop down to the 1 minute. Let's just say that I'm going to go to bed. If I'm going to bed and I have these trades on, well, I know my break even, I know I'm in profit right now. I would probably, honestly, it's not telling me what I have. It's not telling me my profits. I'd probably honestly just play this W right here. And if it crosses, I just secure it because I don't want to risk waking up to a loss. And if I'm going to go to bed and I'm in profit, I just take what the profit is and I'll just secure it, go to bed, and then wake up and do it again. Because right now, tonight's overnight setup is not really giving me any, it's not giving me what I'm used to, which is a big run in one direction. If it goes against me, then I just add more trades down here. Because it gets above my break even, then I'll close out the trades up here and just take these ones overnight and secure them. Above break even already, but I don't want to run the risk. I don't want to run the risk of taking a loss, right? So I'm really, really protective of my overnight trades. I don't like waking up to a loss, and I don't like having to fix my trades in the morning. And I was doing that quite a bit 6 months ago, where I was trying to go for 2% at night, 2% in the morning. And I was trying to do that. And if I didn't, I would widen my stops and that'd be a little bit riskier. And so in the morning, I'd be like, well, now I got to fix like I'm 0.5% down. Now I got to start in the hole to hit my goal for the day or whatever. And I don't like doing that. It's so much nicer when you're starting in the positive for the day. When you wake up and you're at 0.25% and you're like, you know what? That's awesome. It really is awesome.
So David, if your goal is 0.25% on the account and you wake up with 1%, do you use it as house money to be a little bit more risky in the morning, or do you go to another account as far as your overall portfolio management?
I think that depends on where you're at in your trading, because I used to, absolutely. I used to. But I'm at the point right now where I have so much that I trade so much that I'll take the 0.25% and go to another account. Do you know what I mean?
Because you
I
got to
have a lot-
your
I gotta get
objective is you
through
have
it.
a lot of accounts. You need to get them all at 1/4.
Mhm.
Whereas like the rest of us, you may only have a few accounts. Would you say that's okay to play a little extra? Like, so if you're playing nickels normally and you wake up to 1%, maybe you'll play a 0.07 or a dime for the day because you got 1% of house money.
Absolutely.
you-
I mean, I do that. I kind of do that with you guys in the hot seat a little bit, where I recognize, okay, we're up, so we're going to go a little heavier and we can afford to go heavier. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
and with
so,
the objective of building a larger portfolio so that you
or
can do
larger position, so
Right.
that when it does turn in your favor, you turn 0.25% to 0.5% to 1%. I don't get too crazy with that, where I'm not going to risk a loss, but if there's a good setup, I will grab into my profits for sure. But
Okay.
I don't go crazy with that, where I mean, be honest with you, I used to swing for the fences, and once I made 1%, I'd make 2% quickly. Once I made 2%, I would go for 5%, and then I'd go for 10%, and I was making double digits like a lot every day. But I was trading a lot, and then you would have those just catastrophic days because you would just be too heavy, right? And now I don't have catastrophic days, but I also don't shoot for double-digit returns. It's not my goal anymore in my trading. My goal
Yeah.
is to 4x and get double digits that way. I'm so much less stress, less trading, more happier about my trading than I've ever been right now because I'm only going for 0.25%. Do
Yeah,
know what I
you have
mean?
more accounts, a more expanded portfolio, so you have larger dollars on the bottom line with less risk going for a quarter. And I'm not suggesting gambling with your 1%
No, I
overnight,
get it.
but rather going a little bit heavier because you have that padding to gain maybe 2%. But if you're wrong, kind of stop at a half or stop at a quarter while you still got it.
Yeah, and I guess the best advice that I would give you or any trader out there is going back to what is easy. Do what's
Okay.
easy and less stressful. Stick with that and make easy move the needle. If easy is not moving the needle, then you need a little bit more work to make easy moving the needle, right? So if you're and whatever that is, right? And that's going to have to be a difficult call for everybody, because you're moving your needle moving generally is a dollar amount for almost anybody. And if you can't move the needle in the account size that you're in, then what do you need to do in order to get to that account size that you're in? Right. So if you're trading a $5,000 account and 0.25% is not going to move the needle for you, then what do you need to do to increase your account size so that 0.25% does move the needle for you? Right. Because I think everybody would love it if we were trading, a couple $1 million and hitting 0.25% a day. You know what I mean? So it's all relative to what's easy for you to get and then make what's easy being able to move the needle, right? And we put Ed to sleep. And with that question, Ed is now asleep.
Sorry, it was a boring question.
I'm just kidding. Hopefully you guys learned something here. That was my intent, and not that you can do computer generated graphics.
Illiterate AI graphics.
That was not the learning objective that I wanted to put out today. I just felt like I could get that done quickly. But what are some of the takeaways that you guys, just wrapping this up, what are some of the takeaways, the techniques, and the market's not playing nice right now for a perfect type of setup for a live condition. And it does this, it's just like meandering. And like I said, as long as you have good PTP, you're in the market, there's no harm, no foul, right? I could just say, well, it didn't work out. And there's plenty of times where I'm just like, I'm not going to take a setup. And this might be one of those nights where I'm not going to take an overnight setup because I really can't read the market. And I'm not going to force myself to take a setup if the market is confusing to me, or I could see it's at a 50-50. And if it's at a 50-50 where, you know what, it could come up overnight or it could drop overnight, it's not worth the risk of me going to bed and having trades on. It's just not. And so I just call it and say, well, it didn't move in the 4 hours in my marinating stage. It didn't move enough for me to secure my trade. So I'm just going to take it where it's at and call it a night and jump in the morning, right? Because remember, overnight trade setups, your worst case is you're going to hit 0.25%. The best case is infinite, right? And so all you need is 1 to 2 of those really good overnight setups, and you've passed any prop firm challenges out there. But you're securing your risk by securing that 0.25%. And in 30 days, I guarantee you're going to find 1 or 2 moves that you're going to make more than 5% with those 2 moves combined. I mean, I shouldn't say I'm going to guarantee it, but if you're doing it correctly, you should be able to find 1 or 2 moves a month that give you that. And the rest of your moves could be less than 1% or whatever, right? What do you mean not if it's secured?
That's the Robin's comment about you're dinged for
Oh,
gambling
okay.
because there are some prop firms that they don't like that. Like if you have a consistent trading style and your equity curve is nice and you have a jump, some of them, I think that I know of like 2 that will consider that a gambling type, and I'm assuming that's kind of what Robin's talking about. But if they'll talk to you and they'll see that you've secured the trade and left it overnight just to see what would happen, that's not a gambling play. That's a secured
I get what
play.
you're
And
saying. And also
Yeah.
when I don't know because I'm a dinged for it, but I would also
I don't
say
think
I would
you use
also
one of those.
I would also assume that
No,
you're
because
gambling is
you're
for-
not over leveraging. So it's not
Yeah,
gambling.
if you're like
Yeah.
just slamming in like 20
You're small.
lots. Yeah, exactly. We're keeping it small and we're
Yeah.
keeping it light. Exactly. We're not just
But if
like,
it was like a
"Go
10
all
lot
in,"
trade,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
then they would call you.
Right.
So, David, what I understand is you're using about half the size of your account as a trade size, and you put on 5 trades. So you consider that light, and you put that position in the direction that you think it's gonna go, and then you wait maybe an hour or 2, and if it works the way that you thought, it moves beyond the 0.25%, then you wait for a good point to secure a trade, and then you let them go. And if you're lucky, then you make a lot of money. Otherwise, you just make your 0.25 and that's good. So that's basically it, huh?
That's basically it. And the thing that, the thing that I will probably say this. I've had success doing this on the Euro USD. I have not had success doing it on the UJ just because I could get a candle for no other reason that runs 20 pips against me, and now I can't fix it. So I'd much rather be in this stuff where it just moves so slow for hours because I know it's not going to go against me very hard, very fast. So that's why I like to use this pair because I never get in too much trouble. And I'd rather just wait because I'm not sitting in front of my screen. No way am I sitting in front of my screen. I might have it on a different monitor and I might be watching a video, watching a movie, have it on my laptop and just check it periodically. But there's no way that I'm sitting down and managing my trades. I'm just letting it marinate and letting it run, walking away and coming back. Right. And somebody said, Dan, if you go into your tools options, notifications, you can enable notifications. You can also do email. You can enable email, and then you go to, if you have a Gmail, you would just Google really quick the settings for that. And then it can push that email. And then I think there is texting. Yeah, right here. You can download your Android, all that kind of stuff. And if you download the Android app, you can get a push notification to your phone that way. I think there's actually a texting thing in here. I don't use it, but Josh, you do, don't you?
I do. That's the
Sometimes.
texting. Go back to notifications.
Right here.
It's that you have to, enable it, and your MetaQuotes ID, log into mql5.com. It's in your profile over there.
Got
And
it.
you can have an ID for each. I mean, they can get really complicated, but you have an ID over there. Put your ID here, test it, make sure it goes to your phone.
You can do SMS through email. So if you set up your email
Yeah.
settings to go through your Gmail or whoever is hosting your email, your 2 would be like your phone number at, I can't remember, like att.net is for AT&T or tmo.net or whatever for T-Mobile. You can check with your provider and they'll tell you what the fully qualified email address is for your SMS to your phone.
One last thing I forgot to talk about really quick. If you use Anubis, and this is what I've used Anubis for in the past, but I can't show it to you guys right now because I don't have a license code for Anubis. I don't know why. but I'd
didn't
like to
pay.
show it to you. I'd like to be able to show it to you, but I don't have a license code. Anyways, Anubis, I would set Anubis right here, the yellow line right there, that if it comes up and it crosses it, gives me a pullback and has continuation, then Anubis takes over once that happens. Once, as long as this reach is greater than 2 pips. That's the only qualifier. As long as this reach is greater than 2 pips, it pulls back. Anubis will start triggering and start setting your stop loss at action points depending upon your price cycle. And I usually will play a price cycle of 8 overnight, and just leave it at 8, maybe sometimes 10 if there's news that's coming in. And Anubis will play the action points and set you up according to the ATR, right? And so that's kind of cool. The other cool thing too is that I am completely creating my first EA personally right now for overnight setups. So when I say me, I mean my son. So but because he wants to learn how to do that. So I'm doing an overnight setup one just for overnight setups that you'll set a line and it will trigger you into a trade. And then you'll set another line and it'll start. That's all I had to say. Now Khalid gave me a license. Thank you, Khalid. But all you have to do is it'll do what I'm doing. It'll do the alert. It'll notify you, all that kind of stuff. So I'm creating an EA right now just for overnight setups, right? So so that you have overnight setups, and because I want to simplify the process, I'm going to look for have it trigger and notify you guys where the KPIs are, the 50/50s, all that kind of stuff, right? So yeah, so look for that in the future for these overnight setups, and then you just gotta trigger it and let it do its thing. And I think it'll be pretty powerful, where it'll try to secure it and get you out at the KPIs. So anyways, that's coming down the pipe. Any last questions? I know we kind of ran over on time, but any last questions? I know Robin wants to go to bed.
No.
I can see it. I'm wide awake. You guys are drifting. Oh, how the tables have turned.
Hey, David,
the turns have tabled. Yeah.
We'll see tomorrow morning.
Regarding switching accounts, I'm trying to understand why, because in my mind, if I don't switch accounts and I take a loss, then it's still a loss. But if I take my profit and switch to another account and then having a loss, it's still a loss. So I'm trying to understand. I hear you talk about switching accounts after you hit goal, but what's the reason behind it?
Because I have multiple groups that I trade. So I don't know if you know that. So I kind of identify it as group A, B, C, and D. And so I'll have 4 accounts here, 4 accounts here, 4 accounts here, and 4 accounts here. And I do that to diversify as opposed to just having one group with, 16 accounts. Because I do trade them at different times of day. And so if I'm up on this one and if I'm winning on this one and I take a loss here, but I win here and I win here, then all combined, I'm still up on the day. So I'd rather diversify that than trade, than have all 16 as a loss or whatever. Just risk management, just managing multiple accounts.
Okay,
right?
That makes a little more sense. Thanks.
Hey, Josh, you want to take that conversation outside of chat? Go ahead.
I just thought about that. My mind was wandering.
I'm just kidding. Even I can't get away from that even at night.
Well, we kind of had some mashed potatoes. I'm like, well, this is Irish guacamole.
So that's what I do. Yeah, I'm certainly not teaching people to do that right now, but Josh knows that I do that, so that's why he asked me about when I switch accounts. When I switch accounts, he's really meaning I switch my groupings. That's what he's talking about. Right? So All right, so now it might be time for me on here with that candle. If it breaks lower than that, I'd probably just get into a couple more trades, bring my break even down to here, wait for it to pop up, and either A, close out for goal on the pop up, or B, just close out these trades up here and let these ones run for overnight. Just depends on when I go to bed. But that's the
Well, this is just a
go ahead.
Sorry, this is a reposition of yourself. You're just repositioning it. That
I'm just
lower zone.
repositioning my overnight trades, right? And I'm also watching it. So if I wasn't watching it, I wouldn't be touching it. But I would also be cognizant that this is if it breaks above this is good, breaks below that is bad, right? And so because this is really the 50-50 right here. So we'll see. And I would say, you know what, if it breaks below this, I could just bring my break even down, get out and flip into sells for a ride down, right? However, that doesn't really follow or track with what I think the 1 hour is doing. So no, I don't know. Let me rephrase that. We're at the 50-50 on the 1 hour. So this is not the perfect overnight setup for night, because it could go up and it could go down. So you got to look for your 3 pieces of evidence. And I could make a case for sells, I can make a case for buys. So it's probably not something that I'm going to sit on and do an overnight setup on. It probably isn't, to be honest with you. I don't really see anything that says, ooh, that looks juicy.
Well, I think the market started out as spud potatoes, but then it just all kind of mashed together.
I'm sorry.
Who let that guy in? Yeah. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. See this guy right here? He's coming to your house. You're going to be sleeping with that guy. Remember, Brandon, I do have the power, or not Brandon, Pete. I do have the power to banish you.
Yeah, Brandon. Better watch out, Brandon.
All right, guys. I think we'll go ahead and call it there. I probably would do the same thing in our hot seat class tonight and just talking about that. So if you guys are okay with that, there's really nothing going on in the market tonight. With the hot seaters, I am also contemplating switching it up from doing, just to let you guys know. I think what I'm probably going to do, instead of doing the night trading, because we haven't really had much success there, just watching stuff like this, I think I'll probably start opening it up an hour early before the trade room and start trading with you guys one-on-one. So that when you do get into the hot seat, we have your technical problems solved, and we get you guys up to speed a little bit quicker. So just taking an hour before and trading with you guys one-on-one. So if and doing and running that, as opposed to making you guys fall asleep at night. So an hour earlier, meaning that an hour earlier before the hot seat live, before the community trade comes in. So we would trade together for an hour earlier, and then we'd switch over to the live hot seat sessions. So I'm thinking about trading one-on-one with you guys for like a week. So doing that, so to get you guys really up to speed, just every morning trading with you guys one-on-one for a week, and then trading with a hot seat person for the next 2 hours. So and just really start getting you guys up to speed on everything. And I think that's going to be better than a better use of our time than trading at night when nothing is happening and Robin's falling asleep. So so look for that kind of change, and I'll probably pull a special meeting maybe like Friday after class if we can, just for the hot seaters, to really kind of go over the ins and outs of that. So if you guys are all right with that, I don't think we'll do class tonight because, like I said, I kind of talked about overnight setup, And this Friday, we'll look to just see if we can't just talk to you guys about the new switcheroo, switch up type stuff. So, yeah, so we're gonna make all the announcements when Rob can't be there. Also, if you guys are interested in being part of the hot seat, I do have one spot that is opened up. So if you want to get in the hot seat, get with Jimmy on that too. So, all right, guys, thank you. And I think we'll close there, and we will see you guys in the morning. Get some sleep, and hopefully you'll start adding overnight trading into your repertoire. And please let's get a shout out. Like when you guys, I really want to see you guys starting to be succeeding at this overnight trading. Get a 1/4% at night, get a 1/4% in the morning, make a 0.5%, and find somewhere else to make up the difference, so that you're now taking a quarter and you're making 5% a week, and you're passing prop firm challenges every single week. It really is that easy, if you let it, right? All right, guys, we'll see you guys
Great class.
tomorrow morning.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.